What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark back MovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm going to talk about Picture This. It's a new Amazon original, so click like and subscribe so we can jump right into it because I really need more followers. I'm realizing that in a day and age when people are running away from diversity, equity, inclusivity, for a blind film critic to be able to advocate for audio description and accessibility, I kind of need to become an influencer. So I'm just openly begging for subscribers before I do the review like other channels do. Then I just kind of thought people would find me. Now I'm just like, well, please, please. So Picture This stars Simone Ashley, who actually I was really excited to see starring in a movie because I thought she was really excellent on Bridgerton. Yes, Simone Ashley's from Bridgerton. She was introduced in season 2. She was the star of season 2 of Bridgerton. Kate, I believe was her name on Bridgerton. I did that without research, by the way. I just pop culture. You should see me play Pop Culture Jeopardy on Amazon. It's maddening. Like, there are 3 people on one team, and I'm just like fucking killing the game. I'm like, all 3 of you can't get the. Then you've got like 9 people on stage and they don't know the answer. I'm just like, I answered it 5 minutes ago. I don't know. So anyway, Picture This is Simone Ashley's foray into starring into movies. Sadly, it's an Amazon original. And it's kind of like a retread of a rom-com. It's steeped heavily into Indian culture. And I actually mean India, like from India, not this is a British film, so I mean that in the most literal way I can possibly mean that to be. And they are in England and trying to. She's got this business. She's a photographer, lovely photographer who does all these big setups and everything, and loves her career. She has a friend and who is in the movie quite a lot and sort of helps her on this journey, which she's about to go on, where her family comes in and everybody has a lot of ideas about how she should be living her life. And they take her to this guru who ends up predicting that one of her next 5 dates will be her soulmate. So her family gets together and they're like, well, okay, so we'll each pick one and it'll be, because she's really not, Priya is really not looking to get married. Like she's kind of career focused. Marriage is not on the front of her brain. She kind of thinks this whole thing is dumb and she's just doing it to make her mom happy. So she goes on this series of dates. Of course, along the way, she's going to meet somebody who's going to sweep her off her feet, and that by the end of the movie, it's going to be a typical rom-com. It shouldn't be a spoiler. That should just be you feeling the vibe of the movie. That should just be you realizing what movie you're in. Although I would have loved it, the movie had bucked the trend and been like, yeah, none of those worked. I'm going to go back to my job now. Like, that would have been amazing. I'd be like 10 out of 10, 5 stars. Thought it was going to be a rom-com, ended up being the anti-rom-com, and was like, nope, I make myself happy. Thanks, bye. So, some of the stuff's cute. I mean, it has some funny moments to it. I'm not going to say I hated this movie. It's not like great, but Simone Ashley is very charismatic, and the movie highlights her and her ability to command the screen, which is something that I felt on Bridgerton when she just kind of came in out of nowhere, and I was like, I don't know who this is, but she's great, Sometimes I just get a vibe from an actor or an actress. I didn't get a vibe from anyone else in the cast, so I don't know that anybody else in here is going to. Phil Dunster's in here. He was on Ted Lasso. He just didn't have that big of a part. I just mean like of the more major characters. So, yeah, it's So we need to talk about the audio description. If you're watching this and you made the audio description, we need to talk. Like, I would I would love I'd love to help you. Help me help you. Help me help you. This is not good. This is not good audio description. And there are plenty of times where there's like a visual cue. Luckily, I watch a fuck ton of movies and I listen to an assload of audio description. So, um, yeah, there were times at which the audio description just got weird. There's like a dance sequence in the end where the woman's like, they're dancing around like they just don't care. And I'm like, what? Like, some of the choices here are just kind of hilarious, but they're like full scenes where characters are in them and they're never mentioned. So I'm gonna take one scene out because I need to spoil it. So I don't think anybody I don't think anybody thinks this first dude that she dates is the soulmate, because like she walks into a house, it's the one that her dad sets up, and there's this dude who's like got a VR headset on, super wealthy, and he just his reaction to Pre really sort of indicates that this is not going to go in her direction. Uh, and she ends up um, really. She ends up in this situation where, I mean, he's got dumb shit all over his house where, like, she's not allowed to poop. He just out, like, brings that up. The sequence is kind of dumb, but what I'm focusing on is the fact that she notices, like, he summons a drink that he named in her honor to try to woo her. And I guess this brings servants into the room. They're never mentioned in the audio description, and I do mean never. Like, this gag of him having servants is never mentioned. They're never mentioned when they enter. They're never mentioned when they're there. She seems to be uncomfortable by the presence of servants. Like, to the point where he's rich. You would expect him maybe to have at least one or two. So I'm like, how many servants does he have for this joke to work? We never find out. You will never find out. And then the joke moves all the way through the whole fucking scene of her being in this dude's house to where finally she tells him off and she leaves. And I think they leave with her, but there's no audio description. I have no idea how many servants he ever has. They're, again, never mentioned. It's it's so frustrating because, like, I get the fact that you're trying to work around dialogue, but they reference the servants quite a bit. It's quite like it's the joke of the scene is how many servants he has, and he talks about one of them, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is son, and he raised me from a baby. He's seen me with cracks that I've never even no one else has ever seen before," and blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, like, he has jokes and things to say about them, and he's like crying out after them as they leave, and I don't know how many there are or what they look like, or are they wearing uniforms? Are they children? Like, I have no idea. There's literally no indication as to how, if it's one person and she's made uncomfortable by one servant. I think it's multiple, at least two. But I have a feeling this is more like the Daddy Warbucks thing in Annie, where, like, that scene where Annie shows up and he seems to have like a servant for literally like everything. Like, there's a whole musical number based around every single servant that Oliver Warbucks has in Annie. I think this is that, but they never talk about it in the so audio description fail. There were some other jokes throughout the thing too, where I picked up just on the way that she interacts with her mom, that she FaceTimes her mom, but you wouldn't know that from the audio description because she just seems to, the way that she prompts her mom to like hold the phone is is a way that you wouldn't prompt your mom to hold the phone if it was just up to your ear. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you were holding a phone like a regular person, you'd be like, "Mom, hold the phone differently." You'd be like, "Well, I can hear her," you know? I don't know, it's just or where she's holding the phone, if she's using a speakerphone or whatever, but no, it made me think, okay, well, she's using but the audio description is just gone. It's just vacant. Uh, and yeah, there's just so many opportunities here to describe people, to describe places, to describe actual like sight gags that are like the focus of a scene or the focus of a movie or supposed to be the thing that people laugh at or be like, haha, that was funny. Oh my God, that's so relatable. Oh my God, that's so cute. Like it does that quite frequently throughout the film where it just drops the ball. And nah, I'm not having this track. um yeah, it feels like the bare minimum, like the least amount of audio description in order to qualify as audio description, and it's very, very underwhelming as a track. So uh, I enjoyed the movie more than the track, which is sometimes the opposite case, where I actually enjoy the track more than the movie. I've watched some shitty movies with some excellent audio description tracks. Like there are some really great movies out there. I mean, really terrible movies out there with great audio description tracks. Like people are doing like the Lord's work on some of those tracks. Um, and I don't know. This is the opposite. The movie's better than the track. This is to the point where I would say if for some reason your Prime was fucked up and you weren't able to play the audio description or it dropped out on you or something and you're like, I'm gonna wait till don't worry about it. You're not missing anything. This track barely gives you anything. I mean, literally, if you're watching this with a sighted person, we've all experienced this at some point as blind people where we have that sighted friend that when we try to watch something, they try to like fill in for us. They're like, oh, it's my turn. I'm here. There's no audio description. It's my turn. I got to do this. Regardless of what it is. I mean, you could just be at home watching the news, you know, and something comes up on the screen and they're just telling you what the news is. So, uh, it like that. Like that person will do a better job than this professionally made audio description track does. And I know I'm being hard because it's like, it's a comedy and you have to work around the dialogue. And it's like, you also have to find a way to bring out kind of you have to actually sit there and go, what's important here? What is this scene about? And if you can't define what the scene is about, then you're not the right writer for the track because there are writers who can. There are writers, I promise you, who will find a way to point out what makes the scene work. There's a narrator who can speak fast enough and get the words in. There are ways to do this because other studios are doing this. Other companies are doing this. This is not happening here. So, I didn't like this track. I didn't even see who did it, so I don't even know who I'm insulting. I could know them. I might not know them. I don't know what company. Whatever. I stand by it just to watch that one scene when you take the scene with the servants that are never mentioned in that joke. That alone. So the movie's okay. Isn't the greatest rom-com. It's kind of just one and done. Like you're gonna watch it and you're like, yeah, that was fine, and I'll move on with my life. I'm not going to be advocating for Picture This at the end of the year. I think it's a nice show of what Simone Ashley is capable of. Should she be given actually a better film to be in with more cast? I like the cultural representation. I think it's interesting always to watch people who live different lives than me and see how they're represented on screen. You know, family dynamics that are different than mine. So, I mean, the film is interesting for me, for sure. But I'm giving Picture This a B-. I think Simone definitely carries the movie. And yeah, I don't think it's like an offensive movie. Like, I think people just like it and be like, no, I did that. So, well, I watched Picture This. That's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Inclusivity is not a bad word, and I'll see you guys on the other side.